So when people decide to make a change, a lot of times they think that they need to make like a big change in their lives, whether it means changing their careers, changing their spouses, moving to a completely new city. Your book has a different approach.
So the way that I like to distinguish this is what I call outcome-based habits versus identity-based habits. This is the deeper why behind the question that you just asked. Mm-hmm. So most of the time when we think about changing our lives, we think about the outcome that we want to achieve. We think about, I want to lose 40 pounds, or I want to have a better job, or I want to increase my salary, or we have some kind of specific result that we're looking to achieve. And that's fine. That's totally normal. And usually we have this outcome that we're looking toward, and then we come up with a plan for achieving it. So we say, I want to lose 40 pounds. So the way that I'm going to do that is by going to the gym 5 days a week. And typically that's where the conversation stops. We have this outcome, and then we have a process, and that's it. But I think that there's a deeper layer of behavior change, which I'll call identity change. Mm-hmm. And I think it's not that the outcomes are bad. It's just the direction with which change is focused. So I think it's more important for change to come from a place of changing your beliefs and your identity first, and then letting the results come afterward naturally, mm-hmm. rather than trying to change the outcomes and then hoping that will somehow magically make you a different type of person. So to walk you through that, as an example, rather than focusing on losing 40 pounds, you can ask yourself the question, who is the type of person that could lose weight? And then you realize, maybe it's the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. And so you shift then the conversation from getting some result, like, I just worked out, I hope the scale drops, to how can I become the type of person who doesn't miss workouts? And then you realize, even if I just worked out for 5 minutes, I'm still embodying that identity. And so this is what I think, to bring it full circle here, get back to your question, why are small habits powerful? And I think the reason is because every action we take is kind of like a vote for the type of person that you want to become. And as you take more actions throughout your life, you accumulate evidence of certain beliefs, certain identities. So if you go to church every Sunday for 20 years, then you believe that you are religious. You have a lot of evidence that you've accumulated that you're a religious person. Mm-hmm. If you study biology every Tuesday night for 20 minutes, then you have evidence that you're studious. And so in this way, the habits that you repeat build up evidence of the beliefs that you have. And then at some point, once you adopt the belief, it becomes this feedback loop. It's reinforcing. So you have this belief, and then you think, I need to go to church because I'm a religious person. So it starts to feed the next action. And the process of change, I think, is heavily rooted in changing these underlying beliefs, biases, the things that we think about ourselves, the assumptions that we have that are dictating our daily actions. And the way to do that, I think, the most effective way, is by casting new little votes day in and day out. So by changing your actions, by changing your habits in some small way, you start to accumulate new evidence of a new identity. Mm-hmm. And so this is why something like going to the gym for 5 minutes, it doesn't really change the result on the scale quickly, but it does help you start to believe that you're the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. And then once you adopt that identity, once you've done that for 2 or 3 or 4 months, now you have a lot of options because you're always going to the gym. And so there are plenty of ways that you could update and improve and expand. You could find a better workout program. You could start staying for longer. You could find a workout partner. You start making friends at the gym. Mm-hmm. But none of those things are possible if you don't first shift the identity and master the art of showing up. Mm-hmm. And so I think tiny habits are very powerful because they provide the opportunity for optimization. So the phrase that I like is you have to standardize before you can optimize. Right. You have to make it the standard in your life before you can upgrade and improve it. And so for that reason, I think tiny habits or small habits can be very powerful because they cast votes for a new identity and they give you the chance to optimize and improve from there.
Mm-hmm. One key point is making those small habits easy enough that you'll repeat them day after day and not too challenging that it's too difficult to approach.
So I like to divide a habit into 4 stages. So the first stage is the cue, which kind of gets your attention, gets you to act. Then so for example, you walk into the kitchen, you see a plate of cookies. So that could be the visual cue. Then the second stage is there's some kind of craving. And the craving in my language it's like a prediction or an interpretation in your mind. So you see the cookies and you predict, those will be tasty. But you could imagine that different people might have different interpretations of the same cue. So, for example, if you just finished eating a big meal and you just had like 5 cookies that you ate, then you might walk into the kitchen and see the plate of cookies and think, oh, I'm full. Like, I don't want to eat anything right now. So the cue is the same, but your interpretation of it is different. So the craving matters. Then the third stage is the actual response. So that's the behavior that you take, the habit itself. And then the fourth one is the reward. And the reward serves 2 purposes. The first purpose is it satisfies the craving. So if you eat the cookie and then it is tasty, then that satisfies that expectation you had of, oh, this cookie will taste good. But then the second thing that it does is that it teaches you what to do next time. So, if the cookie does taste good, then your brain kind of gets this signal, hey, next time you see a cookie, you should eat it because that was really enjoyable. Mm-hmm. And so the point that you just brought up, which is that small habits can be more satisfying. It's really important for closing that loop, for making a habit, for reinforcing the habit for next time. It teaches your brain to do it again. And you're right. If we take on a habit that's very big and difficult to achieve, let's say, for example, that you wanted to do like 100 push-ups a day. Well, it might be possible, but doing that every day is really challenging. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take time. And for most people, it would require a fairly big shift in their daily lifestyle to be able to fit that in. Mm-hmm. And so if you do it one day, you would feel satisfied. You probably feel pretty good. But then if you start missing like 2 or 3 or 4 days in a row, it actually has a counter effect, which is that it's unsatisfying because you feel like you keep missing the mark. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you pick something small, even if it was just doing 1 push-up, it's not going to radically change your body overnight, but it does make the process satisfying, and it gives you a reason to repeat it. And so then once you've done 1, well, then you can do 2, and then along the way, as you continue to progress, the change is more gradual and easier to fit in with the rest of your life. You start making adjustments along the way, and you don't have to change everything overnight. And whatever we can do to make habits more immediately satisfying, that's kind of the key caveat here, is that a habit needs to be immediately satisfying for you to have a reason to repeat it. And tiny habits in many cases are. Mm-hmm. And what you find is that any behavior produces multiple outcomes across time. So, people often say, well, why would I repeat a bad habit? Like, why do I eat chips all the time? It's not satisfying to be 30 pounds overweight. Or why do I bite my nails? Like, I'm not satisfied with how my hands look. But in fact, those behaviors are immediately satisfying. Maybe biting your nails relieves anxiety in the moment, or maybe eating chips makes you feel good at that time, or it's tasty. So the immediate outcome of your bad habits is often very satisfying, but the ultimate outcome is delayed and unsatisfying. Good habits, of course, are the reverse. Often the immediate outcome, it requires work and effort to go to the gym. You need to sweat and put in energy. But then the delayed outcome is favorable. And so much of the work about getting good habits to stick and bad habits to fade away is figuring out ways to pull the consequences of your bad habits from the future and into the present moment, so you can feel a little bit of that punishment right away, so it's unsatisfying. Yeah. And pulling the rewards of your good habits into the present moment, so you have a reason to keep repeating it. Part of me wonders if people who are good at delaying gratification are actually just very good at finding alternative ways to be immediately satisfied. Mm-hmm. So, for example, for me, I really enjoy going to the gym. Mm-hmm. Now, I get people would look at that from the outside and they would say, oh, he's good at delaying gratification. He gets the rewards of exercise, a couple of weeks or months later or whatever. Yeah. But in fact, going to the gym feels like a reinforcement of my identity. And I get to see some people that I like. And so there is like an immediate satisfaction there. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how much people who are, whether it's good at studying or good at working out or good at resisting some other form of temptation, they actually are, what they're really good at is finding some way to frame that in their mind that makes it immediately satisfying. Yeah. But yeah, so that key thing, the feeling that follows the behavior, is the signal that gets you to repeat it or avoid it in the future. Mm-hmm.